I'll call you Jojo. Is that okay?
Jenga better. Maybe
Jenga is
Jojo,
better. Jenga is like a little different name. Okay, Jenga. So thank you so much for coming on the show. So like I said, I was telling you that I'm a fan of Bankless, and now you have Bankless Hindi as a Twitter handle, and I was very curious as to who is handling it. And I've been keep seeing your post for quite some time. Like it's more than a year, I think, that I've been seeing your post, approximately, not probably. So I was very curious, and I think you're also into a lot of DAOs that you're a part of. So hopefully we will talk all about that, and hopefully the audience, हमारे जो viewers हैं, वो लोग कुछ समझ पाएंगे. So thank you so much for doing this, Jenga. Sorry.
No worries, man. Thanks. Also pleasure to be here.
So Jenga, now, I know that you would like to be anonymous, but I think, just to set the context for everyone, like how long have you been there in the crypto? How was your life before that? And like, are you in India? Which part of the world are you in?
Sure. So I was investing dabbling into crypto since 2017, but I never really figured out like why crypto and what is this? Like, it is just like something to make money, or like what is the whole point, right? And then came 2020, this whole COVID situation happened, all the stock markets, including all markets, like went to the floor in 3 weeks. And then I was like, okay, it gave me like a lot of clarity on what is happening with central banking, what is happening with generally around the world with money printing and things like that. So I got like completely pilled in 2020, like May, June, July. I remember just like listening and reading like all about crypto. Yeah, so that's like where my journey began. I have been in like basically doing sort of this full time, one can say, for more than a year. I've been working in DAOs, also like many different types of DAOs since more than a year. So yeah, like that's like a small history about me. I am originally from Mumbai, but I live in Europe for like the past 10 years. Yeah, and then it's a vibrant community here. There's a vibrant community in North America, and over like the last year, the community in India has also kicked up quite well. So yeah, I think it's overall a great time to be in the industry.
So you're from Mumbai. I'm from Mumbai as well, but I don't live in Mumbai anymore. And so you live in Europe somewhere, is it? Did you say USA or Europe?
No, in Europe, in Northern Europe. But yeah, you're from Mumbai, so what's up? Like, did you move somewhere or?
No, so I'm born and brought up in Mumbai, but for the last, like after the same year, like 2020, I don't know, it was COVID-19 or something else, but I got fed up with the cities and I wanted to live in a small town. And
Nice.
and that's how I started traveling a little bit, and started exploring other places of India. And I have to say that I quite liked it. I'm thankful that I moved from there, and I'm enjoying this life. Yeah, that's that's the story there. Amazing. So you said that you got introduced in 2017, and so you bought something, or how was it? Like it was just a hype. You did not understand really what was going on there.
Yeah, I did buy, as everyone, most people get into Bitcoin first, then Ethereum, and so on and so forth. And then 2017 was like this whole ICO thing going on, right? So, okay, Bitcoin. And then even I remember there was like the hash wars that were going on in Bitcoin, like what should be the hash rate and what should be like the block size and things like that. That was popular in that time. The general narrative of like crypto back then was like a lot of ICO, where like in the past you have to have like some sort of an investment background. You need to know people in order to get early into projects. But then this whole ICO game changed it, and then anyone from anywhere can send Ethereum to anyone's address and get into projects and potentially become rich. Well, 99% of those projects failed. All of them went down 99%. So yeah, it's like after like the crash, I think I sort of lost interest. I was like, okay, this this is not happening. And then I was not very serious about it for like all the way till 2020. So
So,
yeah, that's
so what's your background? Were you into investing earlier, or like what's your background? Finance, or are you an engineer or something like that?
well, I did try to study mathematics and physics in uni in Xavier's, if you know.
Maybe.
And
Mhm.
yeah, Saint Xavier's in town, like Chowpatty. Yeah, well, Chowpatty is a bit far, but yeah, town anyway. Yeah, and then I've been I started with like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then in 2017 I went down like different sorts of ICOs that people had invested into and also lost a lot of money. But yeah, in 2020, like I remember DeFi summer, and I was like blown away by what is happening with Aave and Compound and Yon Finance, and then all these food tokens that came in. And yeah, it's like once you start going down the risk curve, it's very hard to stop.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a whole new world together. Like once you taste it, you taste it. You can't go back. Like you can take
Definitely.
a rest, but you have to come back here. Okay, let's come
Yeah.
back to today's moment now. So I believe that you're a part of many DAOs, because I saw you on Twitter, and then you, of course, you were handling Bankless India, and then so tell us, like, what's your involvement like apart from Bankless? Okay, let's talk about Bankless Hindi first. Why did you start that, and like, what's your vision and mission, and how active is Bankless Hindi? Because I do see that you're posting once in a while. Like, I think
Yeah.
you're posting every day almost, I guess. But that's your Twitter handle. What are the other mediums you're setting up? Like, how focused are you on Bankless Hindi, and what's the mission with that?
Sure. So I can give like a bit of context to Bankless in general. So the Bankless movement, or well, initially it started out as a podcast that Ryan and David have. And general themes of the podcast is that Bitcoin and Ethereum are the new versions of digital nations. And we are sort of generally entering a new realm of possibilities where we don't have to rely on old structures to get do with society and improve everyone's lives. Now we have these new structures that are independent of legacy institutions, that are independent of legacy thinking. So now we can actually build a better world without interference from the old world. So it is like in a nutshell, the Bankless movement, right? So in the past, it was the Bankless podcast, but last year on the 5th of May, they launched Bankless DAO with a goal of onboarding the next billion people into Web3 and crypto. And by onboarding, it does not mean like go on like some exchange and trade shit coins, but it's more like understanding Metamask, understanding DeFi, interacting directly with protocols, interacting yield farming directly. It could also be like buying or getting into NFT projects that have like a long-term vision, right? Like that is what we mean by truly onboarding, where once you are in, like it's almost impossible to get out because you wouldn't want to get out. It's so interesting, like what is happening everywhere, right? So yeah, and then I joined the DAO also last year around the same time. And when I joined, I was like, yeah, like this message is like so great, and no one else in the whole industry is like talking about crypto in this way, right? So I was like, yeah, this needs to come to India, and the people in India also need to sort of understand what is happening in crypto, because like yeah, many people entered after the ban was lifted, but then most people still think of it as like something that can make them money, and then they can be rich in life and buy a Lambo or something. And sure, there's nothing wrong with that, but that there is so much more to crypto than just like buying and selling, right? So that's why we started like Bankless ND first. Then it's been going on since like almost a year, and we sort of align with like the bigger DAO mission of onboarding a billion people, right? Most content that Bankless produces is in English, and we understand that to onboard a billion people, English as the only language is insufficient to tackle this, right? So meanwhile, as the Hindi node, as we call them, because how we look at it as from a DAO point of view is that DAO in the end is a coordination mechanism. In the same way you had nation states, you have companies, you have nonprofits as like these structures where people can coordinate their actions. DAO is a crypto native way of coordinating actions for people. So what we think of like Hindi, English, and 20 other languages that we produce content in as nodes of this Bankless movement. And then all these nodes use the local culture, the local context to help people understand what is crypto. So yeah, I've been glad and happy to be part of like Hindi project. I sort of lead or started leading the Hindi one, but then as things evolved over the last year, we started a project in Bankless DAO called International Media Notes, with the whole vision of onboarding people into crypto in many different languages. So I lead this project in Bankless DAO. We have over 100 active contributors producing content in 20 different languages. In India, actually, we started with Hindi, we expanded to Bengali, we expanded to Tamil, we expanded to Malayalam, and yeah, we are looking forward to expanding into other Indian languages as well in the coming future. So yeah, for like India in general, what we realized that Hindi is a language that you understand if you're in India, but also people in Pakistan can understand Hindi. Bengali is a language that people in Bangladesh understand, but also spoken in West Bengal. Tamil is a language that is spoken in South India, but also in Sri Lanka and many parts of Middle East and Southeast Asia as people migrate there. So instead of having only like a Hindi node, what we decided was to have South Asia DAO as a coordination mechanism for all of us to produce content and make it available to people living in South Asia as a region, not just India.
Yeah, that's a good approach because you're absolutely right. I mean, India you have like more than so many languages already. Like if you southern part of India, they understand like more of English, but also you have regional language, right? So अभी फिलहाल कितने language में है फिलहाल? I mean, and what kind of content produce हो रहा है Twitter के अलावा?
So Hindi is one language that has been consistently producing since last month. Twitter we do Twitter Spaces every week, and the same content is uploaded on YouTube. So if you go to Bankless Hindi YouTube.
Next, please, when you have a space, I would love to be a part of it because I never got a notification maybe.
Oh, for sure. We do it like every Monday. So if you're free like this Monday, we can we can set it up on DMs. Yeah, definitely happy to have you on the space. Yeah, besides that, we also produce newsletters, so you can join our Substack and get up to dated with different things that are happening. There is a weekly roll up that gives like a summary of things happening in India, and it's all in Hindi. There's also other newsletters that are produced by Bankless HQ, like the thing that Ryan and David have. And those we translate into Hindi, into Bengali, into some other languages. But yeah, it's like up to the you as like a user or listener on what you want, right? If you like reading, go read the newsletters. If you like to listen, go check out the podcast.
But podcast तो आप original refer कर रहे हो, right? जो David और ये करते हैं, और are you referring to podcast?
हाँ, वो इंग्लिश में करते हैं, हम हिंदी में करते हैं.
आप हिंदी में करते हो, कहाँ पे मिलेगा वो? Because I've not seen it. So जो मुझे पता है, so I know the Twitter handle, ठीक है? I think newsletter भी पता है, क्योंकि मैंने कहीं ना कहीं I found the newsletter also हिंदी में था, I guess. तो Twitter newsletter और podcast भी आप बोल रहे हो, Hindi podcast.
हाँ, so if you go to the Bankless Hindi Twitter page, वहाँ पे एक link है bankless.hi करके, so it's like a link tree का link है, उसमें आपको सब sources मिलते हैं.
Okay. Right. I think तो कितने episodes हो गए वहाँ पे हिंदी वाले podcast पे?
I mean, let me see videos.
No, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है ना, देखिए Twitter थोड़ा आसान है because all you have to do कि translate करना है, ठीक है? Newsletter भी तुमको translate ही करना है. I mean, you just translate, right? but podcast so एक challenge जो आता है duplication में and this thing is that कि content is already there, right? And to produce the content in different language, all that has to be done is just translate. And why? Because you don't want to add your own persona, or you don't want to add your own thoughts sometimes, right? I mean, it helps. Yes, you can add your own thoughts also, and you can maybe summarize it. But, just keeping it as it is, especially the written format. I believe that if you just, in the written format, if you just translate it, it's better instead of adding your own thoughts, right? But yeah, podcast, you cannot do that. So how difficult and how challenging is that? Is that the process you follow, or do you follow different method?
Yeah, so written content, as you said, is not very hard if you're if you have a good translator, right? But then podcast ka is like a big problem, because most of the terminologies that we use in crypto have no reference in like local languages. So pretty much you have to treat them as proper nouns and use like the original words. And then terminology is one thing, but what about like the concepts, right? Like the concepts by themselves are so difficult to understand, like for people. And which is why like we try to use in the same way Ryan and David try to use metaphors to sort of help people understand. We do it in the same way. Right now, it's not like a very planned thing on like how we approach things. It's more like people that have been in the space for a long time, that are part of the DAO, join Twitter spaces and talk about different topics.
Yeah, I mean, it's work. It's not.
Yeah,
it is work.
yeah, it is.
For you for taking this up, because yeah, it is a lot of work producing content in different language. So, and tell me, like, so एक जो reason था, one of the reason I wanted to talk to you also about this, because of course now DAO, I mean, हम लोग ने DAO के बारे में we heard about this like long back, right? But now the DAO structure is really different from what it used to be, I think. Now we talk about DAO being anything more than two people coming together and trying to achieve something together. That's a DAO. I think that, and powered by smart contracts and all that, right? So the main reason I want to talk to you also is because the way I look at it, and let me know if and you please feel free to add, is that how we had decentralized organizations and how the job offerings used to take place is like, okay, there's this company formed, and there's an HR, there is this manager, and somebody is coming out of college with degree, going and with resume, going and applying for it, right? And then doing 9 to 5 and things like that. Now that is shifting to a whole new world altogether. So today you can be in college, or maybe you're not even finished your 10th or something, but if you find crypto interesting, you can work for your favorite DAO. And these are DAOs. DAOs is one word, right? Ab DAO to bahut type ke ho sakte hain. So for example, Bankless DAO, which is focused on more about crypto and educating people how you can go bankless. And then there is another DAO, which is working on a different product altogether. What was this? Okay, so let me just take an example of, so Rabbit Hole DAO. Have you heard of Rabbit Hole DAO? Yeah. And then, so there is this DAO I came across, Super DAO. Now, Super DAO says that you come and create any DAO you want. So the way I look at it, that any product category, like maybe there could be a DAO for graphic designers. There could be a DAO for, so my idea is that now today, if someone wants a job or wants to work, they can just go online, go on Forefront. I think Forefront compiles everything, right? Forefront.market. Yeah. It compiles like most of the DAOs you will see here. So basically, whatever your hobby is interested in, or anything, go there, find a DAO that you are interested in, and start contributing and start earning tokens for that. So as of now, this may not be a lot. Like it may not be enough for you for one to like say that okay, mere ko koi job nahi chahiye, because this is a lot. But I think going ahead, that's the future. What would you like to add, or what do you think about this? Like, so look at DAOs from an employment point of view, like
Yeah.
where anyone can work for a DAO from wherever they are. And the best part is they can choose which DAO they want to work for, and they can also work for multiple DAOs. What do you want to add there?
Yeah, I definitely agree, like with the general sentiment that you shared. Maybe like another perspective I can add to what you have already said, which I agree with in most cases, is that like in the past, like we used to rely on legacy institutions and legacy ways of giving credentials to people in order to verify their qualification, in order to know that we can trust them and then they can work
Yeah.
for like our goals, right? But now with crypto there is a different mindset altogether. The mindset is that of meritocracy, right? Like if you show merit in what you do, people will applaud it, and then you will be given more opportunities to earn more tokens in more DAOs and so on and so forth. Now, meritocracy does not come with your degrees, does not come with your face, does not come with what your name is or what your nationality is, right? Which is why pseudonymy is so important in the DAO space, because you cannot say that a DAO is meritocratic unless the contributors there are pseudonymous,
Yeah.
right? So that is like one important point. Another point that I feel is relevant here is that, as you said, like the age, the looks, or wherever you are, like all those things do not matter, but the regulations of where you are and how you pay taxes do. So now today, like for example, we in Bankless South Asia, right? We employ well, we don't employ. We have people that work in the DAO that produce content that are from India, and there are people who are in college, there are people that are like just finished their 12th standards. But like when they take this income from, which is basically coming from outside of India to India, right? Like imagine the kind of work we are
Yeah.
doing. We are bringing foreign investment into India. We are giving jobs to Indians from abroad. But the government says, no, you have to pay 30% on everything, right? Like that is so stupid. So on one hand, you have like this golden opportunity to improve lives of millions of people. But on the other hand, you have like these close-minded politicians that may not understand what's going on, and sort of limit this bigger vision of what is a DAO and how you can work in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think for them it's too early also to understand. Like right now they are looking from the old lens, right? That's what I think. But I think hopefully with time they'll change, because otherwise, if you do not like, if you want something, I believe that if you make the rules really harsh, like you don't expect anything, because then the things are gonna go haywire, right?
Yeah,
Make rules that people can actually follow.
yeah,
And the crypto have power to take everything away from the government. I do believe that. I mean, how much control can you have really with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with all these DAOs coming up? So I believe that the future is going to be maybe 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line. There is a lot going to be a voluntary donation from the citizens, right? It
yeah,
is going to come like, okay, I took this service, I'll pay you for this. Like it's going to be upfront that way. Instead of like right now, I feel that it's kind of exhaustion. Like you have to pay, no matter what. That's what it is
yeah,
like.
yeah,
But I think that will change. Uh, so I think I don't want to make it very long, because I want to keep this as a introduction video, like Bankless Hindi. I'll
yeah,
put all the links for the Bankless Hindi so that people can go ahead and subscribe. What are the DAOs that you're a part of right now? Like apart from
yeah.
Bankless Hindi?
For sure. Maybe I can like also share like a quick point that I forgot on the previous question.
Sure.
So in the past, like if you wanted to do something, start like achieve a goal, let's say. your biggest bottleneck was, how do I pay for it, right? You could either go to a bank and get a loan, or you could go to investors and ask for investment. Now the problem is that this, as soon as you take money from someone else to achieve your own goals, now you're not working on your own goals, you're working on someone else's goals. Which is why the project, the company, the group that you're working with suddenly starts becoming a profit maximalist machine, right? It is no longer that, if say I wanted to start a healthcare startup and with a goal of making health of people like actually better, if that was my goal, and an investor comes in and says, okay, that's cute, but like, where do I make money from? So now suddenly I'm starting to milk people for money instead of actually making their lives better, right? But with a DAO, like, the whole dynamic is flipped, because you don't need to go to an investor, you don't need to go to a bank. I can mint my own token and give it to people that believe in the same things as I do. And that is so powerful, because now we can actually start working on things that we all believe in.
You know, on this note, I wanted to say something. I don't know who said this, but said that, yeah, I think this is the line, right? Fix the money, fix the system.
Yeah.
So
That's the meme.
because everything starts from here, man. I mean, if you don't fix it, then there is going to be, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, the next one.
No worries. Yeah, so I've been, maybe I can share like a bit of the approach that I use with DAOs instead of like which DAOs I work in.
Yeah.
So the most important thing for me before working into any DAO is trying to see like if there is like a fair launch that was associated when the DAO was started. And then what I also see is like the vibes and the memes that people are sharing in the Discord, right? Like if there are a lot of memes and vibes are of price talk of like, okay, this thing doesn't work, how can I fix it? It's like just people complaining instead of like trying to build together. Then I'm like, okay, I'm not interested in this. Versus when I see like people vibing together, enjoying, helping each other, trying to actually find solutions to problems. And how do you do that, right? Like you see like the Discord messages, you go on forums and you check what the posts are there. If there are meetings happening, join those meetings and see like what is it that people are talking about, and then you sort of understand if like that is the place for you or if that is not the place for you. And in this way, like I could enter like 10, 15, 20 DAOs just to like research if this is something that I want to work with. On one hand, it's great, like if the goal of the DAO vibes with your own goals, but if the community does not vibe with your goals, then there's little point in continuing, right? So I would say, one, figure out what the goal of the DAO is, and if you vibe with it, and two, what is the community about, and if you vibe with that community. And if those two things align, then there's a good possibility that you might be able to continue with this DAO. So some of my favorite DAOs in the past that I've been involved in, besides Bankless DAO, I spent like almost 80% of my time with, but I've also spent time with Raid Guild. It's a Web3 dev shop, so it's sort of like Web3 consultants that you can work for like projects anonymously. Let's say another DAO.
What's the name of this one? Is it
Raid Guild?
Oh, okay. How do you spell that?
RAIDGUILD.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Then there is Yearn Finance that I have been part of since a long time. Then I recently got deeper involvement into Klima DAO. So Klima DAO, for those of you who don't know, is a fantastic project where they are building a currency backed by carbon. And the thesis is that if more people adopt this as a currency, we can lock more and more carbon into the Klima treasury. And this is one way we can tackle climate change as regular people without having to do much. And then a lot of servers that I'm lurking in haven't like done much contribution yet. So I don't consider them to be like a place that I have contributed yet. But yeah, I can also share a bit about like this PFP that I have over here. It's a DAO fund.
No, actually, I was just going to ask you, what NFT is this?
So in Bankless DAO, okay, so how things work in Bankless DAO is that the goal of the DAO is to onboard 1 billion people through media, culture, and education. if you are able to create a project that helps the DAO fulfill its goals, then you can be funded by the bank token to then give out to people. And then, so DAO Punks is one of the projects that was born out of Bankless DAO. The idea of DAO Punks as a project is to help people go from corpo rat to DAO Punk, right? And then they are giving out grants to people who have been working in DAOs who want to make like this transition full time in ETH. And yeah, it's like a fantastic project. And yeah, I am not like a big person who has flipped NFTs. I did not understand the market a lot, to be honest, but I understand projects that have value, that have a long-term vision. And when I see those projects, I click on the buy button.
Man, in the next episode, we're going to talk all about NFTs, which I'm planning to have soon. We'll talk about it. But thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, let's keep this short. But I'm looking forward to chat with you soon, man.
For sure.